Okay, good morning, children. Today we are going to learn about the Egypt civilization, political and social life. In the last class, we have discussed about the Egypt civilization, where the civilization was started, and also we have learned about the kingdoms of the Egypt civilization. And today we are going to discuss about the what was the political life in the Egypt civilization and what kind of life they have led, what was the social life they have led in the Egypt civilization. So that we are going to discuss in the today's class. Okay, so first let us discuss about the political life. What kind of administration, what kind of political life was there in the Egypt civilization? In the last class we have discussed there was pharaohs. Pharaohs means nothing but king, where we are calling him as a king. So in the Egypt civilization they called as pharaohs. And what kind of pharaoh system was there? The king system was there in the Egypt civilization. Let us see now. The king of Egypt called pharaohs. We call king, right? Generally in the Egypt civilization they have called as the pharaohs, was the head of the government and administration. That means the king was the head of the administration. The pharaoh was the head of the administration, and he was the government, and he was regarded as the chief priest as well. And not only king is the head of the government, even he used to be treated as the priest also. Do you know priest who worships the god in a temples and all, right? So even these pharaohs, he was called as the chief priest as well. He had officials to help him who looked after the administration and helped in tax collection. And these pharaohs, he had some officers also to work under him. Some officials were there to work under the king. What the officials used to do? They used to do the administration, ruling, and also they used to collect the taxes from the people. And for efficient administration, the country was divided into provinces called nomes and governed by officials called the nomarchs. Okay, so the kingdom was divided into some provinces, and that province was ruled. The provinces were called the provinces were called as nomes, and the who were administrating the nomes were called as the nomarchs. So I'll tell you what is these provinces in the sense. For example, we have our country India. Take our India. India have been divided into 28 states, right? Isn't it? For better administration, the country have been divided into the states, and each state is headed by the chief minister. Do we have chief ministers? Yes, in our country there are 28 chief ministers. Why? Because to make the administration easy, to reach to all the people, the administration should reach to all the people. For that purpose, the administration was divided. Again, the states have been divided into districts, and each district was headed, each district is headed by the district collector. Do we have district collector? Yes. So because the powers which are there, the powers should be divided at the different levels, because the central government is in Delhi and we are in Warangal. Sometimes whatever the you know the welfare programs are there, or whatever the governance is there, it cannot reach to the normal people who are living very far away. So that is the reason, to benefit all the people, to administrate perfectly. So how the India was divided into three levels of the government. In the last class you have learned central government, state government and local government. In the Egypt civilization also, to make a better administration in the Egypt civilization, so that Egypt kingdom was divided into provinces. That provinces, like present how we are calling state. Do we calling state? So in the same way, the Egypt civilization, the Egypt kingdom was divided into some provinces, and those provinces were called as the nomes. and the who are administrating the norms, they are called as the nomarchs. Like for example, you just imagine state and chief minister, if you can remember like that, norms and nomarchs. So these are the two, I mean these are the person who is administrating the provinces. And what was the social life? Children, can you see here Parahos? He was the king of the Egypt civilization, right? And under him, the government officials were working. Okay, under king, the government officers were working to administrate the people. And under the king and the government officers, soldiers were there. Can you see the soldiers here? The soldiers who are protecting the kingdom from the enemies. And next there were scribes, merchants, craftsmen, peasants, and the other people. So these all people were working under the king. So let us see what is the social life of the people. And the Egypt society had a uh, hierarchical social order with distinct classes. It resembled a pyramid. The upper class comprised the king and the members of the royal family, rich landlords, priests, and high government officials. See, children, this king and these all the nobles comes under the upper caste people, the upper caste people who were working under the king and the king. So these people will come under the upper caste people, and artisans and learned men come under the middle class people. The lower class comprised of people having less influence and control, such as peasants, farmers, and laborers. So these peasants, farmers, and laborers comes under the third level. And next one is the slaves and the prisoners of war were at the lowest level of the society. So the peasants and the criminals, means in the war, who will fight, who got in the wars, so those people will comes under the criminals. So these all people, criminals and the slaves, comes under the lower level of the Egypt civilization. That means there are completely four group of people are living in the civilization. But now we don't have such civilizations in any country. But during the Egypt civilization time, the people have been divided into four groups: upper class, second class, middle class, and the lower class. So, like that, based on their jobs and based on their financial condition, the people have been divided into four groups. And the upper and middle classes of the society lived in luxurious and comfortable lives. The life of the lowest class was very hard. They had to construct pyramids and roads and dig canals. So where the upper class and the middle class people, they were living in a very hi-fi life, very luxurious life they were leading. And where the other lower class people, they were leading a very hard life where they have to construct the pyramids. I think I have shown you in the yesterday class the pyramid. And where they used to construct the pyramid, they have to lay the roads and also they have to dig the canal. They have to do very hard work. The lower class people, means this last category people, they have to do very hard work, to get the money. And what was the family life? What was the family life in the Egypt civilization? So the nuclear family in the sense, very small family. They used to live in a small family, and was the fundamental social unit of ancient Egypt. The male member of the family were responsible for the economic well-being of the family. That means nothing but father is the head of the family, and this father has to look after all the economical and welfare of the people, because he is the head of the family. Father is the head of the family, so he should look after all the things of the family. Anyways, even we too have the same condition, right? Nowadays male is only the head of the family. Means the father is the head of the family and he will be looking after all the welfare of the family. And women treated with respect and children were loved. So women treated with very respect during the Egypt civilization, and children were loved a lot. And the boys were the only ones who went to schools, and girls were not trained to girls were trained in the household works. Only boys were allowed to schools and girls were not allowed to school. Even the girls used to train with the household works in the Egypt civilization. And what were the occupations? That means the jobs the in the Egypt civilization, the people used to do. Agriculture was the main occupation in the Egypt. So the people used to do the agriculture, and river Nile fertilized the land annually, and the number of canals provided water for irrigation and made it possible to grow crops throughout the year. Where the Nile River was providing water for the Egypt civilization, where the soil is very fertile soil in the Egypt civilization due to the Nile River. So throughout the year, this Egypt civilization people, they used to grow the crops because of the fertile soil which they have, and the water where the Nile River is providing water for the people. And agriculture is the main occupation of the Egypt civilization people. So here you can see the picture. And people of ancient Egypt occupied themselves with the farming activities, mining, manufacturing goods, trading, and professional skills such as architecture, engineering, art and sculpture, and carpentry, medicine, teaching, and accountancy. So later on, the people have done the different types of the occupations also. And what were the food habits of the people? Beer and bread were the main staples of the Egyptian diet. Beer, I think you might be knowing, you might have heard this name, beer. And bread. Bread is the very important food for the Egypt civilization people. And grains were harvested and stored in the granaries until ready to be processed. And they used to cultivate the grains also, different types of the grains also. Even they have used the grains also in their daily life. A large variety of fruits and vegetables such as leeks, lentils, cabbages, cucumbers, dates, figs, and melons were grown in the Egypt civilization. So different two fruits also they used to produce in the Egypt civilization. And white lines clothes were used by the both men and women in the society. Men wore robes, women wore tight fitting long dress with the shoulder straps, uh, cosmetics, jewelry, and the perfumes were used by the people of the ancient Egypt. So whatever the present we are using, so these all things were used by the Egypt civilization people. And what were the houses of the people? Egyptian houses were made of dried bricks. City houses were narrow buildings of 2 or 3 stories. The windows were built high up to, keep the sun out. The front doors were shaded by uh, patriarchs with wooden pillars. So they used to construct their houses very tall with the windows and main doors and all. And with the, dried bricks, they have constructed their houses. And coming to the religion, like what god they used to wish. And the ancient Egyptians were uh, paleolithic or believed in many gods. So they did not believe only one god, they have believed the many gods. So here you can see these all are the pictures of the different gods. So he is also god where they are believing. And they followed more than 2000 gods and goddesses. Amun-Ra, the sun god, was the main god of the Egyptian. So the sun god, where they used to be called as the Amun-Ra. So Amun-Ra was the main god, son of the god of sun. and this was main god for the Egyptian people, and he was the giver of warmth and life and considered as the king of all gods. Other gods worshipped were Thoth, the god of moon, represented by the bird. So here you can see the bird, and Ibis, Anubis, the god of mummification, represented by a jackal. Horus, the god of sky, represented by a hawk, and Isis, the god of the earth, the god of Osiris, was considered as the king of the uh, afterworld, also worshipped by the Egyptians. So there are the different types of the gods where they will be called with the different names. And trade and commerce. So what kind of trading they used to do during the Egypt civilization? So the trading was mainly occupied and handled by the Parahos and his nobles. Only the trading was done by the king and by the officials of the kings. And the exported lines, jewelry, and uh, glassware, and imported mainly minerals such as gold, ivory, oil, and wood. The Egypt civilization people, they used to export the jewelry and glassware. So these items they used to export to the other countries, and they used to import minerals like gold, ivory, oil, and wood. So these items they used to import from the different countries. And people used the better system of exchange goods and products. So yesterday only I have told you the barter system, which was introduced by the Egypt civilization people. So that barter system they have used, the exchanging of the goods they have used for taking and buying the products, and goods were transported over land by camels and donkeys. So how they used to export the goods? They used the animals, camels and donkeys, to export the goods to the other places. And boats and barrages were used for carrying goods along the Nile River. So and also for land transportation, they have used the camels and the donkeys for the land transportation, because those days there were no other kind of transportation facilities. So that's why they have used the donkeys and also camels for the land transportation. And for water transportation they have used the boats, and the boats were used for the water transportation through the Nile River. They have used the water transportation. Boats they have used for the exporting and importing purpose. So tomorrow we will discuss about the Egypt civilization major achievements.